Welcome to Powerful Women Rising, the podcast for female entrepreneurs playing by their own rules and growing their businesses their way. Join business relationship strategist and your host, Melissa Snow, as she brings you practical perspectives and candid conversations. Each episode guides you to make smarter decisions and take bold action as you build a business that's both profitable and aligned. Because the world is a better place when powerful women rise together.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Powerful Women Rising podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Snow. But don't we all just make it up when we start a business? So basically what that means is I help women entrepreneurs build their business through real relationships, through genuine connections, through what I call networking like a human and not like a salesy weirdo. I started Powerful Women Rising after building 2 successful businesses of my own exactly that same way. Looking back, I realized I spent so much time, money, and energy on things that I thought were going to be the thing that moved the needle forward in my business. The thing that got me my first client. The thing that got me over this plateau that I was in, the thing that took me to the next level of scaling. And when I look back, what really consistently brought me new clients and made me money was the connections that I made and the relationships that I built. So I started Powerful Women Rising 3 years ago because I wanted to help other female entrepreneurs do the same thing. We do that through virtual networking events, mastermind communities, all kinds of amazing things that bring smart, successful female entrepreneurs together to genuinely support each other, share resources, share opportunities, give advice, whatever we need at the time. And it has been so amazing watching this community grow and seeing all the amazing, powerful impacts that it has had on people's lives. So if that is of interest to you, please check out the link in the show notes. We would love to have you at one of our networking events so you can see what we are all about. On that note, let's dive into today's episode because while I am all about building relationships and connections and growing your business that way, it's not the only way. And there are so many other aspects of business that are important, right? I'm not going to be the one that tells you that's all you need for your business. There are so many business coaches out there that will tell you it's just mindset. You need to do Facebook ads. You need to be on TikTok, right? But nothing is the one thing. So that's one thing I love about this podcast is being able to provide you with so many different perspectives, so many different ideas. You can take what works for you and leave the rest, and today is no exception. This is an interview that I did with Samantha Fine, who is a meta ads and funnel strategist for established female online business owners. She spent over 15 years driving growth for billion-dollar brands, including Coca-Cola and Whole Foods. Now she uses her expertise to help established female online business owners with a proven offer turn paid ads into reliable sales using her buyer builder blueprint, where she finds what's blocking conversions, validates what actually So welcome to the Powerful Women Rising podcast.
Hi, Melissa. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you here. We were talking before we started recording. I feel like I always get like the right people at the right times too, because I've been thinking about ads and paid ads, and I've done them before and things have worked. And now I have your interview scheduled today. I have an interview later today that is about burnout and how do you find your spark again after your burnout. And girl, I am so burnout. And so I'm just so excited for today's interviews.
I'm excited for it too. Ads can help with burnout too. They keep things running while you're doing your thing. So we could talk about that.
Seriously. I'm like, I think that's part of why I'm burnt out is like, I'm not getting as much dopamine as I used to get from my business. So if we could get some ads creating some dopamine, that would be super.
I love it. Yeah.
Okay. So before we dive into talking about ads, tell everybody a little bit about you and about what you do.
Yes. So I'm Samantha Fine, the founder of Samantha Fine Digital. I help established female online business owners create predictable sales with meta ads and strategic funnels. Before coming into the online space, I spent over a decade, close to 15 years, working for billion-dollar brands, Coca-Cola, Healthy Choice, Lysol. You look inside your kitchen, you probably have at least one of the brands I supported in my corporate career, working in digital marketing, and left that space after facing discrimination for being a mom, and really wanted to find a way to use my expertise while helping other female founders and still being able to pick my kids up at 3 o'clock. And now I can. And so I really am so passionate about the power of using ads to grow your sales, create that predictable revenue, and be able to have that balance, getting those sales coming in, getting those leads coming in while you are not at the computer. And I think that's one of the really amazing things about Meta ads and having it support a strategic funnel.
Yeah, that's awesome. So before I want to talk like specifically about like what has changed with Meta ads in particular. But before we get into that, I want to ask you, like, just for the listeners who maybe have thought about doing ads, but they've never done them. Maybe they've never even thought about doing ads and they think like I'm really not at that place, or people who have done ads, but they haven't really worked. Who do ads work for? Like, how do we know we're at the space in our business where it's like, okay, time to start running paid ads?
Yes, I love this because here's the thing. Ads support something that's already working. So if you have a funnel that is actively converting, if you're making those sales and now you want to pour some fuel on that fire and start to scale it, ads can work. Where ads don't work is if you are just trying to see if like getting more eyeballs is going to actually sell something that's not selling without those eyeballs. Yes, you can pay to test. People do that all the time. Just know you're going to be paying to validate something. So you may not know if it's the offer or if it's the ads. Ads are going to work best when they're pouring having that proven kind of end ticket offer. I have worked with clients where we are testing those pieces into the funnel. So I have what I call the buyer builder blueprint. And one of the things within that is identifying your front end and your end goal offer. A lot of people start with that end goal offer, right? It's that higher ticket program, the membership, et cetera. And that's a great place to start when you're building your business. But how do you get people into it? And that front end piece is going to be the first thing you're sending a cold audience to with ads. So if you don't know what that is yet, it can be really challenging when you're trying to run ads and figure out what that front end is. It's again, that same concept of you're going to pay to test. So best case scenario, you have tested and validated it. Doesn't mean you can't test multiple with ads. I do that for clients all the time, but you want to at least know what these pieces are.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that your expertise is in meta ads and you're also a funnel strategist, because usually I feel like we're going to hire one or the other. We're not going to hire someone who is both. So tell me, you alluded to it a little bit, but tell us specifically, like, why do you do both those things and how do those work together to support each other?
Yeah. So because of my corporate career, I know that you have to have that full marketing strategy to activate the ads. I know the power of it. I've done that for clients for many, many years. And when I started my business doing ads, I was always really interested in the funnel side of things because at the end of the day, your ads are supporting the funnel, right? And without that information, without knowing what's working in the funnel, without having access to that data, without making sure that the funnel is set up to convert, your ads aren't going, they're not going to work as hard for you. And so for me, I'm happy to work with other, funnel strategists when clients have separate ones, but that's one of the benefits that I bring to the table is I do both for you. Especially for my done for you clients, I have access to their backend data. So when I do reports, I'm looking at the full picture, not just what our ads brought in, but how did they contribute to the overall launch or what we're running for the month, if it's evergreen, et cetera. It's a full marketing system, not just ads on its own, your funnel on its own. They work together.
Yeah, I love that. It's kind of the visual I was getting. My listeners know I come up with a lot of analogies that I think are really great, and sometimes they are, and sometimes they make no sense. But I think this is a good one. When you were talking, I was thinking like, okay, so this is basically like you print out thousands of flyers about this event that I'm having, right? And you're running all over town, like giving people the flyers, and here's where the event is, and here's what time to show up, and here's blah, blah, blah. But we don't have the event ready to go, right? So like thousands of people get these flyers. Everybody's like, yay, we're going to the event. And then they show up and like nothing's happening. We have no food. The door's not even unlocked. That's kind of the difference between like running the ads and getting the awareness out there and finding the people, but then people making with ads are.
Yeah. I mean, the first one is really what we just talked about, right? Like it's using ads thinking it's going to fix something that's broken or suddenly make people buy things that isn't validated that they don't necessarily need or want, right? So having that proven offer, that proven funnel, it's sold, organically or however you're selling it, using that with ads, that's what's going to work, right? So that's number one. Number two, and this is something I have seen time and time again, is using someone else's strategy. So just because something worked for someone else does not mean it's going to work for you. I have seen so many courses and course creators that are like, I ran this ad strategy, so now I'm going to teach it to everyone. And here's the thing. They do not have the same offer as you. And even if they do, maybe you're taking their course on a particular funnel and you're building it the same way they did. They have a different audience. They have an established audience. They've been selling this long before they started running ads and before they started teaching you this ad strategy. You cannot take their same business model and ad strategy and replicate it to yours when you don't have the exact same number of sales, the same data that you've been sending back to Meta, the same audience size. They're not copy paste. And so one of the things that I am like, I repeat it 1,000 times over. Your ad strategy needs to be customized to your specific business, your offers, your goals, your budget, your audience size, the health of your pixel, which is a piece of code that sends data between your website, sales pages, et cetera, back to Meta. All of these things need to be customized to you and your business in order for you to have success with ads. Copying and pasting someone else's strategy does not mean you're going to copy and paste the same results. And I've had so many clients come to me after taking a course or working with a coach who was replicating something else. And they're like, I didn't get any results. And it's just, there's even Meta, you following Meta's prompts today, and we could spend hours talking about AI and ads. I'm currently doing a whole series on it over on Instagram, but Meta has invested millions of dollars into AI. So all of their recommendations inside of Ads Manager are pushing people to use their AI, pushing people to use Advantage Plus, which is their in-platform AI. From an objective standpoint, from a audience standpoint, doing different AI creative layers, like they are pushing it hard. They have this new, it's not new anymore, but they have this thing called an opportunity score. And it can scare people if you do not know what it means and you're just in there and you're like, oh my gosh, my opportunity score is only 60%. Like to add in men, I'm not going to add in 18 to 39. Like that's not her audience. So I don't care what reaching them is going to do for her, for her ads. It's not going to align with her goals. The other day I went in to create a campaign for this same client. This one literally had me laughing out loud. It said, you should change your budget. You'll get more results if you increase your budget, of course. But the change it gave me, we were doing $40 a day, and it said to go up to $439 a day. $439 a day from 40. Meta does not know your goals, your business,
or your budget, apparently.
Or your budget. Like it doesn't care about any of these things. It cares about They are a business. It cares about their bottom line, their priorities. Their prompts do not necessarily align with your business. So do not follow them blindly. And having the support of a strategist or understanding these things about was ridiculous. Some of these prompts.
Yeah. I mean, this could be a whole other series of podcast episodes, like the limitations of AI. But
I mean,
I think I love what you said about not trying to copy someone else's strategy. I was laughing. Also going to tell you how to build your business and how to get clients, and it's going to be amazing. And that entire section of the training was run ads, right? Because she had run ads when she started her business and she absolutely crushed it. And easier then. I think it was much cheaper then. It just, everything was different, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about what is changing with ads right now. But I think
and the first time I launched it was during the pandemic, and ads were in a whole different ballgame back then. I mean, if you had success back then and you're trying to replicate those exact same things right now, you are in for a sore response because it is a very different ballgame. Even people, I have people coming to me all the time that are like, my ads used to work, but then late last year they stopped. Well, that's because Meta relies really heavily on your creative to inform who to reach within your audience. Now, a big misconception there is that this now means that you can just use Advantage Plus, their other AI, or go really broad, just demo targeting, and then let your creative do, the targeting. And that's what a lot of experts, I say in air quotes, because not everybody is the right kind of expert, but they're saying, yes, go do this. Broad's working for me. Broad's working for me. Again, these people have very different audiences. So broad might work for some people whose offer is relevant to the masses or who has a ton of sales data. Like we're talking 50 sales a day, kind of tons of sales data to send back to messaging and volume and variety within that messaging to help Meta find who within your audience is likely to take your desired action. And so that's one of the biggest changes is you need to really hone in on that messaging and let your messaging really speak to who that person is that you're trying to reach, why they should, what the benefits are of what you're offering them in order to get them to take your desired action. But pair that with the right type of targeting. Doesn't mean you can't test broad, But and that's, another part of my framework is testing should be something that you're always doing, but you shouldn't just go broad because everyone's saying to go broad. It's not right for everyone. So that has been one of the biggest changes, in addition to all these AI levers that are constantly happening, is this switch from having to get really specific with your audiences to having to have this volume, variety, and extreme specificity in your messaging. You have to have that variety for Meta to figure out what's working. I'd say another thing that I've seen with Meta, because it's really much sooner. Like, the sooner you can tell them if that lead is converting into a buyer, the better quality. Little things throughout in order to feed that back to Meta so that they know who the buyers are. That's going to help with lead quality. So that's another thing I'm seeing in one of the big changes over the last really 6 months.
Yeah, that's interesting, because that's what I had always heard about Meta ads, was that it was actually more helpful to do like a long period of your lead magnet or your freebie or whatever it is, right? Because that's how you gather all that information and you tell Meta who you want and who wants you, and then you run the paid thing. But so it sounds like what you're saying is like, it's not that you can't run ads to your free thing, but you want to intersperse that also with paid.
Coming up with the right funnel is so important when it comes to, having the right ad strategy. They, like we talked about earlier, they go hand in hand. But having opportunities for your email list, for your audience to buy from you throughout the month, throughout, the quarter, not just during a big launch, that's going to help feed that data faster to Meta.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so we've established that if you have not run these questions, I know who I'm looking for. I'll just run it for $20 a day and see what happens. And I mean, years and years and years ago, things did happen. And now I feel like it's so complicated. It's so hard to figure out on your own.
It is. And that's why Meta is often pushing like the boost. We didn't even talk about that. My goodness, I could go on for hours on that one. But like, they feed that to everyone, I get it all the time too. You post something and it's like, boost this post.
Yeah.
That's not running ads. Yeah. It's so much easier than going into Ads Manager. But that's not how they're pushing things out, right? Like, they're pushing out what they believe is going to work for more of the masses and what's going to make them the most money.
Yeah.
And so, it's really about understanding how ads work, whether it's through working with someone. I have done with you and done for you services. So it's learning it, being able to do it on your own, or hiring it out. But trying to figure it out on your own can be so confusing, so overwhelming. It's just not straightforward anymore. I mean, even me, as someone who's been doing this for a very long time, I go into Ads Manager and I go into my clients' accounts, and sometimes they look different, like completely different, because they roll changes out, not like all at once. They might roll something out to a handful of accounts and then trickles down. And so I will see things that are happening across different accounts at different times. They look different. It's one of the reasons why I have tried a couple of times to figure out how to create an ads course. And I am just like, besides the fact that I am so passionate about customizing things and I just want to make sure that it is set up that way, the amount of times you would have to re-record in order to get Ads Manager to look the right way is insane.
Yeah.
And it's one of the reasons why people, when they take ads courses, they're very confused because if it's not updated regularly, it may not look the same. It might be very different. And I mean, it's just one of the many reasons why it's just not learning ads from a course is not always the best way to go.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. So for people who have run Meta
You literally plug in your funnel metrics, plug in your key metrics for ads, and it changes it. That's when Andromeda rolled out and things changed drastically. So if it was before then, I would strongly urge them to relook at that strategy, make sure they have that volume and variety, or contact me. Happy to look at it with you. And really make sure you're creating your strategy to align with the needs of Meta today. That's really the biggest thing I have seen for people who've had success before and are not anymore. It's because they haven't optimized their strategy to align with the needs of Andromeda.
Yeah.
And from there, we reverse engineer what your budget should be to help meet them. But your budget needs to align with your goals, the price of your offer, your conversion metrics. That's where having that funnel metrics that have already worked, and being able to understand what those metrics are is really helpful because it helps us figure out what the right ads budget is. But you don't have to have a massive budget. I have clients that spend, $20 a day. I have clients that spend, $50 a day. I've got ones that spend $100 a day or more. So, it really, again, it's so dependent on your goals, and you can have success with ads. You can get those consistent sales without having, $1 million budgets.
Okay. Good. I'm glad I asked that question. I love this conversation so much. This has been really helpful. I think there's just like there's so much that goes into paid ads and so much like that we assume that we know or that the quote unquote experts are telling us that maybe isn't necessarily accurate. So I feel like this has been very enlightening. If people want to get that successful ad scorecard that you mentioned, or they just want to connect with you, they want to learn more about you, they want to see what you're talking about on Instagram, what are the ways for them to connect with you?
Yes. So I will get you the link to include in the show notes for the Successful Ad Scorecard. It's a great resource if you've been running ads and you just want to see, what can you optimize, or even if you're thinking about getting started and you want to make sure that your funnel is set up for success, plugging in those funnel metrics. As long as you've got those greens, you'll be good to go to get started with ads. So I'll make sure that link is in the show notes for you. And then if you want to learn what it's like to have the support of someone who can give you that proper ad strategy, either teach you
I will be scheduling my call with you for sure. Thank you again so much for coming. This has been really helpful.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's a wrap on this week's episode of Powerful Women Rising. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you're looking for a fun, consistent, low-pressure way to meet other women in business and create more visibility, leads, and momentum, check out the Powerful Women Rising Connection Network. Looking for deeper support, a place to think things through, get honest feedback, and stay focused as you grow? You can learn more about our masterminds through the links in the show notes. If you loved the episode, be sure to subscribe, share, and leave us a review. And until next time, keep rising, because building a business your way really is the best way.